Everything you've done is a contradiction to the things you say as a message. All of it. Your entire life is contradictory. No matter how much positivity you think you've put out into the atmosphere, your actions negate it all. This is the most egregious I've seen. And that's after seeing you pretend to be a pedophile. You know, when you live in a glass house, never mind. Don't worry about the glass house syndrome. We're just going to get straight into it. We all know what the glass house syndrome is, right? We understand that. Good. You know, some time ago, there was a whole debacle between a certain individual and Miss Tiffany Haddish. You all remember we talked about this? And they did a skit. And in the skit, Mr. Spears is who I'm talking about as the other person, was a little bit of a lech in that skit where he was well, I'm trying to make sure I don't get banned for what I'm about to say, but he was attracted to children in this particular skit. Well, a different kind of footage has surfaced with Mr. Spears in it. And before I go forth talking about it, I want you to witness it yourself, because when I tell you that it will have you both floored, scared, and angry at the same time, I would not be joking. So without further ado, here you go.
Mother Love wants to know, is it true what they say about men with big feet? Yes. Oh my God, he done got me flowing like a faucet. Once I'm starting,
Now, y'all saw what I saw, and I'm hoping that you both have, eyes working that we can see and say, look what he just did in the dress, and was, well, I'm not going to explain what the video showed because I just don't feel comfortable talking about that, just so you know. So Mr. Spears, can you explain it to me? How many, man, what did you get for that? What'd you get for it? What did they pay you? Or better yet, what did you not lose? Maybe they offered you something and you just, said, okay, I'll do it. But it didn't seem like there was a but in there, because right after that is when you did that whole child attracted video. So did they pay you to become this perverted, or were you always like this? And you see, this is back a while back now, a couple of years old. This is not new. So how did we miss this? It's an easy enough answer. We miss it because we don't look no more. Yeah, 2024 might be the year of exposure, and that's why everything's coming up. And I don't know how that became the coined term, but it seems to be playing out precisely along those lines. But how did we miss stuff like that? Where it was not just partially that he had to wear a dress and be humiliated. Kevin Hart did the whole dress thing, and he was just kind of waving around doing his thing, but there was nothing really super sexual about it. You had other actors that got put in dresses multiple times, but nothing really sexual. Martin Lawrence got put in one. Dave Chappelle got put in one. Myriads of them. Aries took it one step further. He decided, all right, I'm going to get in the dress, then I'm going to get down. Now remember that these are people that our young people watch. And I understand that you can't catch everything, but this particular one slipped right through the radar. Because why? We always say it here on Too Strong. Why did it slip through the radar? Because it was guised as humor. Look back in our day. I mean, I'm talking about my day back when I was growing up. We used to watch cartoons. Remember Bugs Bunny? How many times, if you go back and look now, did you see Bugs Bunny in a dress? Elmer Fudd in a dress. Daffy Duck in a dress. It was everywhere, and we just didn't even pay any mind to it. And now there are some whose minds are weaker. That's just the case. I'm not calling anybody simpletons or slow. There are some people whose minds are never going to wake up to what they see. And they will automatically give in to what they've been indoctrinated into. The whole transgender, cross-dressing movement is being pushed by people that grew up in our era. Why? Because it was inundated on them. It got put there. Aries Spears doing what he just did has zero, and I mean zero backlash, because it is something that the people, when we were watching it, did not catch. I mean, now we can look back in hindsight and say, wow, how close was he to, wow, like Really? But he did it and no one said anything then. How many children saw that? Because it was on at a time when children were still awake, by the way. This wasn't happening at midnight. This wasn't on with the same broke down channels that we used to try to get Channel 3 on. This was on at a time frame where kids were still awake. So how did he get away with that? I'm going to say it. I can't blame Aries for it. I have to blame us. We've allowed it to get to this point. We've allowed it to be normalized. We said nothing. We sat by. We let it take place. We didn't do one. You ever notice how the left handles things and how people who we don't like handle things? Let's just say the people that are following Satan. Let's see how they handle it. When they have a problem with God, do you hear them being quiet? Do you see them being docile? Do you even see them being passive about it and just saying, whatever you believe? No, they defend their God. They defend, and I mean viscerally defend him. What do? We just don't say nothing. That's not our place. It's not. No, it is our place. It is why this is why it's our place. Because the future generation that we are supposed to be taking care of is at stake. And people like that are going to be the ones that are going to be in the front of them more than we are if we don't do anything. Now, this could have been his humiliation ritual, but he didn't seem very humiliated by it. He seemed quite happy to be in that position. Not only acting like one of the most flamboyant women out there, but he was quite thrilled to be in front of a dude's junk. Like he was almost elated to be there. And I keep asking this question. How many acts does it take for one to be... I'm still convinced it's one, and that's a pretty big one. The one that you just saw there was a pretty massive one. I'm not even going to go into the fact that they do this a lot to people of, the black persuasion, and they give in. I don't care if you think they're targeted. You always have a choice whether to give in. But when the wish for money outweighs your scruples, you get Mr. Spears. He doesn't even have a moral leg to stand on with this one. And I've heard him try to speak morally about how you treat women and how you do this and how, bro, you got no room to talk. Like when I say no room, you couldn't give advice to a gnat. You couldn't advise a hyena on anything. Everything you've done is a contradiction to the things you say as a message. All of it. Your entire life is contradictory. No matter how much positivity you think you've put out into the atmosphere, your actions negate it all. This is the most egregious I've seen. And that's after seeing you pretend to be a pedophile. That's saying a lot. Now, if you still like Aries Spears after this, I mean, to each his own. But it does talk to your character. It speaks volumes to his. And it will also speak volumes to the people that follow him. We have a chore, and that chore is to keep this kind of nonsense from our children. It is also to keep it from becoming normalized. Because once it becomes normalized, whatever hard work you can put in is only going to last so long. Because whether we like it or not, we get, I'd say about 17 years with our kids. And I mean 17 listening years. And after that time, they either stray or stay on the path. And you're talking about 17 good, solid years. You may miss a few in there. That's a really attentive parent. Most of us maybe get 13. And we usually catch up after the kids turn 10. We let a lot go from the age of 3 to 8 when it's most formative. And people like that will get their ear. You know what that does for the kid? It teaches them how to ignore your morals. And in the end, it will teach them to ignore God. This is why we're doing what we're doing. Because many of us, including myself, would have missed this. When we were back in our own little stupor and our blindness, we would have missed this. Might have even thought it was funny at the time. But we're called to something more. We're called to something higher. This ain't it, partner. This ain't it. So I leave the imagery with you to do with it as you will. Make your own decisions about it. But be rest assured about this. If your thought is to come in and say we're judging, yes, we are. And we are happy to judge. Why? Because to us it's called discernment.